Okay, welcome, welcome, welcome. We are here. This is Ocean Robbins, and I am thrilled to be with you for this Food Revolution Summit Empowerment Package Owner Special Q&A session. This is a live Q&A session, and I am here with three absolutely spectacular human beings, luminaries in the world of food and health, inspirations to so many, and we're all together, and I'm also here with you, and I want to thank you so much for joining us, for your investment in our mission, in our work, for your interest in health, and for your interest in being a part of the food revolution that's sweeping the globe right now. So many people are saying enough is enough to a toxic food culture. Let's be a stand, let's be a voice, let's walk the talk and eat the talk of a healthier way of living and being on this planet. Especially in times like these, choosing health is so critically important, and that's exactly what you're doing, and we're so glad you're here right now. So thank you, thank you, thank you for your presence. And we're here now for a live question and answer session. I'm here with three wonderful people. Let me introduce them quickly, and then we'll get to a little more context and questions. So first, we have Dr. Christy Funk, ever popular in our Food Revolution Summits, breast surgeon, health luminary, author of Breasts and Owner's Manual. Christy, welcome.
Thank you.
So glad you're here. We also have Dr. Joel Kahn, brilliant cardiologist, restaurant owner, popular speaker, best-selling author. He was with us for the daily wraps throughout the summit. Hi, Joel, how are you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me back, and looking forward to a great 90 minutes.
Fabulous. And I'm also here with my incredible one and only father, my dad and colleague, the host of all of our summit interviews, the amazing John Robbins.
Well, I'm glad to be here with everyone and everyone who's listening and tuned in and eager to get going.
All right, well, let's get going. So we got a lot of questions. We got over 300 questions submitted in advance of this event, maybe more. And so apologies in advance if we don't get to yours. What we've done is we've organized them as best we could and tried to cluster and focused on the ones that would have the most interest to the most people. It's an imperfect science. We'll do our best. We'll go as fast as we can without getting delirious and by staying relaxed and calm. We don't want to get all stressed out here, but we're going to be here together for an hour and a half to just go over it. And I will kind of be the MC and guide us along and direct the questions to various people. I want to be really clear about something. This is not medical advice. This is coaching. This is our sharing best practices, what we've learned, what we've seen, what we've experienced. As in all things, use your own best judgment and make your health decisions on behalf of yourself and in consultation with qualified healthcare professionals who understand your specific case and needs and reality and context. We're not doing any of that here. We're here to share our best wisdom, insights, and perspectives. So with that very, very clear disclaimer, we're here to support you in every way that we can in this time that we're together. So our first question I'm going to direct to Joel, coming from Betty, who said, excuse me, no, this is for Christy, coming from Betty, who said, can you speak of how to help seasonal allergies?
Seasonal allergies. Well, this is often mediated by an intact immune system gone a little bit haywire, right? You get your IgE going and you end up with sneezing and coughing and watery, itchy eyes. And the best way to prepare for allergies when you know they're coming is to get your health in order. And the best way we know to do that is to focus on those plants. The other big thing is to exercise. You want to have your airway, right, in your lungs prepared for, sometimes you get that constriction, you get that leukotriene response in the airways, and training yourself, having some cardiovascular resistance and in your airways is going to help you with allergies.
Excellent. Thanks, Christy. Next one's for Joel, and it comes from Joyce, who said, I'm 74 years old. Test results indicate I have some atherosclerotic deposits in some vessels in my brain. What's the best nutritional approach to reverse these and prevent additional buildup?
That's a great question. And there's some key there, because most people that are 74 years old have the same thing. They just don't know it. They haven't had the testing. I'm very aggressive about identifying the problem. Then you can approach it. And there are people that don't have atherosclerosis, which is the medical term for hardening of the arteries. So we know, for going back at least to about 1950, and this is, of course, not a commercial, this is just science. We know the science says that a whole food plant diet, naturally prepared, locally sourced, as fresh, brightly colored as possible, as studied by some names you know, Dr. Dean Ornish, Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn, the famous engineer Nathan Pritikin, a physician in Los Angeles who doesn't get enough shout out, Lester Morrison, MD, in the 1950s, have all studied this and have shown you can halt and the potential to reverse the plaque, the atherosclerosis, by avoiding animal products and avoiding excess animal fats and eating what we all have been teaching at the Food Revolution Network. You pick on the spectrum, you want to do it 100%. That's an excellent approach and you'll be healthy. And it's something that I've done now for over 4 decades. But any small movement you take, any meal you convert from animal-based eggs and bacon to oatmeal, a beef stew to a bean stew, every small step is a good step. But if you're concerned about it, I would get some information from the books out there and start eating plants, and you will see your brain flourish with health for the rest of your life.
Thank you. Yes. Next one, I'm going to ask Christy if she might touch on. It comes from Ellie. Ellie said, the Food Revolution Summit was illuminating in many ways. Thank you. My partner has Crohn's disease and is on heavy-duty medications. He hasn't had a flare-up in many years. What are the best foods for healing the gut? And might it ever be possible to wean off the medications? Obviously, we're not going to get into medical advice, medications, all that, but thoughts about Crohn's disease and especially about gut healing foods.
So Crohn's disease and chronic ulcerative colitis, these are inflammatory bowel diseases, and they become more intensely inflamed whenever you consume animal protein and animal fat. And in particular, processed meats are very difficult on the colon. So I think your boyfriend has a really good shot at getting off of medication or reducing doses by truly focusing on plant-centered eating. And legumes in particular, fiber, which it sort of gets this bad rap in Crohn's disease because people erroneously think that fiber is going to set off the alarm bells with Crohn's. But in fact, it is your microbiome, right? The bacteria that live inside of us that feed off of the prebiotic fiber. So you want to eat these foods that are very rich in fibers, legumes, lentils, bean peas, split peas, chickpeas, nuts. Maybe some of the finer things like seeds we know can cause a little reaction in Crohn's. But it is imperative that you decrease inflammation in that colon, and you do that in one and only one way, and that is by pumping that body and that bloodstream filled with antioxidants to decrease the oxidative stress that is at the center of Crohn's.
Thank you so much for that. Next one is from my dad. This is from Joan, who said, hello, this was my second summit, life-changing, and looking forward to listening tonight. My question to any panel members, why, in your opinion, hasn't or haven't the senior government officials, COVID-19 researchers, CDC, etc., mentioned even the possibility of food, specifically whole foods, plant-based foods, aiding in potentially strengthening our immune systems in the face of the virus? I have yet to hear any medical spokesperson. Thanks for addressing.
Well, thank you for that question. It's a good one. It's an important one. And it's the answer, I suppose, is pervades our medical system and the way it practices medicine, which is basically disease management. It doesn't, when we think of even prevention, it's more screening and vaccines. We don't really think of actually preventing the disease in the first place by being healthy. And Western medicine is very much oriented around drugs and treatments about diseases that already exist. That's where it comes into play. And the idea of actually building health and in the course of that, preventing diseases or reducing both their virulence and their incidence seems to have escaped the Western medical model to a large extent. And so we have a situation now where we have food companies that don't care about your health, and then we have a medical system that doesn't care about your food. But actually, the food that you eat is the foundation of your health and the foundation of your ability to cope with infections if you get them. That no one is saying, however, that eat some broccoli and you'll cure COVID-19. This is a new infection. It's a new virus, and it's got some strange characteristics that we're learning about all the time. And we need to respect this virus. But we also need to respect our body's ability to build health and respond effectively if you do become infected. And you will respond better if you're not obese, if you don't have high blood pressure, if you don't have diabetes, if you have been living a healthy lifestyle and eating a healthy diet, then you won't have the comorbidities, as they're called, the underlying medical conditions that people with them fare so much more poorly when they become infected with COVID-19. So why isn't the medical system talking about this more? Why haven't they been doing that all along? Why aren't they with COVID-19? Why aren't they with heart disease, where we know it's been proven that you can reverse and prevent almost a very high percentage of the cases of even advanced heart disease with diet and lifestyle measures. And yet most of cardiology doesn't recognize that. Joel Kahn is an exception to that. And I love what you're doing, Joel, and helping people in that way.
Thank you.
Yes, we could certainly ponder why people do what they do in all kinds of situations. And certainly Food Revolution Network has a campaign to get nutrition taught in medical schools, because the truth of the matter is that most doctors just straight up don't know very much about it. I mean, there's barely anything taught. Less than a third of the medical schools in the United States have a single required course in nutrition. So most people can get their medical degree and be practicing medicine and know nothing. And my dad's often said that, a doctor not knowing about food is kind of like a firefighter not knowing about water. But that's the norm we have right now, and it pervades across the board. And of course, when you get government leaders, you also have lobbyists involved who are gonna scream like crazy if any food group is discriminated against, even if it's killing us. So in the sense, the dollars of the food industry, the junk food industry, and the status quo are ruling the day, and hundreds of thousands of people are dying every year because of it. But the good news is we don't have to be among them. We can get informed, and that's exactly what we're doing here. And we can spread the word as well. Joel, next one's for you. Comes from John, who said, I'm 68 years old, fairly active, and eat plant-based diet. I'd love to get rid of inflammation and pain in my joints. I'd love any food or other suggestions.
Yeah, excellent. And would have talked a decade ago, we wouldn't have had much data for plant-based eating and rheumatoid arthritis, plant-based eating, and osteoarthritis, the two major divisions. There are others like psoriatic arthritis. We actually now have quite a bit of medical peer-reviewed data, some randomized trials, and it works. Plant-based diets, number one, there is inflammation even in garden variety osteoarthritis, and two, food has a big impact for the worse and for the better. I always like to emphasize the real powerful anti-inflammatory foods: ginger, garlic, onions, the brassica family, the cruciferous family, the broccoli family. Those are the big four. They're very sulfur rich. They bump up something called glutathione in your body. And it takes a habit to remember every day. Many of us have heard of G-bombs from Dr. Joel Fuhrman, but this is GGOB. This is ginger, garlic, onion, brassica, is a real powerful anti-inflammatory approach. Frankly, any brightly colored panorama, rainbow of foods is going to be extremely anti-inflammatory compared to the Western diet. So you're always in a better location. But color, and the GGOB.
I'm going to remember that. GGOB, that's ginger, garlic, onions, and brassica.
Got it.
Thanks, Joel. Great. All right, we got a bunch of questions related to cancer. Christy's definitely someone we should be talking to about that. So we're going to send a few her way now. Again, this is not medical advice. This is coaching and sharing best insights here. Sharmila said, does Dr. Funk have specific dietary recommendations for triple positive metastatic breast cancer?
I do, and I'm sorry that you are dealing with that. Any metastatic breast cancer, of course, is difficult because there is no known cure. But we do know that certain diet and lifestyle strategies can prolong life. And that is where the goal is, to prolong a comfortable, rich life full of forgiveness and love and as little stress as possible. So, in terms of foods, though, when it comes to triple positive, that for those other people listening who don't know, means that 3 receptors on that cancer cell exist and respond to the hormones estrogen and progesterone, and then a growth factor called HER2. So we know for sure that soy, so the family of soy, whether it's fermented in the form of tamari, um, or tempeh, miso, or slightly processed minimally like tofu, soy milk, soybeans, of course, all of these isoflavones, the genistein and soy, they're going to have anti-estrogenic properties inside your body, despite what you may have heard to the contrary. And John and Ocean, I talked about this on Food Rev this year and last, because it's so important to me that people understand the massive benefits that they're missing out on if they're purposefully avoiding soy, thinking that is actually estrogenic. So you can dive into some more detail on that, but the broad overview is that there are 2 estrogen receptors in our body, and soy is absolutely hitting beta, whereas alpha is the cancer-driven one. So when it hits beta, it shuts alpha down and it goes out into your fat cells and stops the conversion of precursors like testosterone into estrogen through this enzyme aromatase. So absolutely strive for 2 to 3 servings of soy a day. The other ones, and even in HER2 positive cancers that are important, are the entire cruciferous family. Those sulforaphanes can really fight against cancer. They literally seek out and destroy cells that are rapidly dividing. A third one is going to be the button mushroom. So of all the mushrooms examined, there's aromatase inhibitor activity in the little white button. So that's a big one. Citrus has a lot of antioxidant properties that have been shown in studies to improve outcomes for HER2 positive disease. So you've got your lemons and limes, but tangerines and grapefruits, all of that family as well. Fiber in any fabulous form that you want to find it, in a whole food form. So, beans and greens and lots of berries. These all have tons of fiber. Fiber is going to bind excess estrogen in your GI tract and help you eliminate it that way. So those are all really great cancer fighting foods. Then you want to focus on weight and try to get to an ideal body weight if you're not there yet. I want you exercising basically every single day. And by exercise, it could be as little as sauntering around the block with a cup of coffee in your hand. Just be active and keep moving. And you really want to eliminate alcohol from your diet right now.
Thank you so much, Christy. Lots in that. Okay, we have one here from Margarita, also for Christy, who said, my son was told he has stage 4 lung, liver, and throat cancer last November. His recent MRI shows 2 new masses. He was doing chemo for several months. Recently, they put him on chemo pills. Could a plant-based diet help at this stage of his condition? I think he's beginning to feel defeated.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that about your son. It sounds like maybe lung was the original cancer and it went to liver. But irrespective of where it all began, it is shown that a plant-based diet can in fact prolong life and also increase the comfort of the life that he has left. So for those reasons, I think I wouldn't be maybe overly militant or strict on things that are a hard transition, right? To going from an animal-based carnivorous style to totally plant-based overnight is very difficult for the majority of people. So rather than getting frustrated and just kind of giving up and layering back in the cheese and the eggs and the butter, I would encourage him just to try to make small steps. As Dr. Khan was saying, if your beef stew becomes bean stew, but if your next meal is going to have chicken because, he just eats tons of meat at a baseline, then so be it. Unfortunately, there's no scientific, like randomized controlled trials that show reversal of stage 4 disease through diet and lifestyle. But on a happy, exciting note, we have a ton of anecdotal stories of people who literally were stage 4 and they've got the PET scans and the blood tumor markers to prove it. They reverse their disease to what we call NED, no evidence of disease, and they live that way forever and die happily, an old man or lady in their sleep. So there is reason to hope, but in the vast, vast majority, we're talking that scenario is way less than 1% of people with stage 4. So I do think plant-based will help. I think for the majority of people, it is not going to be a cure and a reversal of stage 4.
One book I might suggest, one of our past speakers in a Food Revolution Summit was Kelly Turner, who wrote a book called Radical Remissions. And she studied 1,000 people who were given up for hopeless and recovered. And they all had some fascinating commonalities in terms of the way that they lived and the way that they ate, very in line with all that we're talking about here. But you may want to check that out, Margarita, and we all send you our love every step of the way, and your whole family. We heard from Tawny. I'll address this one. She said, Ocean, you mentioned in the summit that you typically avoid oils. What do you use on your salads? I want to start making my own salad dressing. Not sure how to do that without oil. Thank you again all for your research, time, knowledge, and willingness to share. Well, thank you so much, Tawny. So actually what I said in the summit specifically was that your relationship to oil may vary in part depending on your particular situation. For myself, having a fundamentally healthy diet for my entire life and having excellent health markers, I feel comfortable eating modest amounts, small amounts of very consciously sourced oils. But some people who are dealing with heart conditions or certain other situations may be better off with no bottled oils. I don't think there's any major case for bottled oils being a health food, but I did say that the specific oils that I use in my salad dressings, when I use oil in salad dressing, are flax oil, a bit of MCT oil, and olive oil. And so those may be some of the best if you're going to use it. If you're not going to use it though, here are some things you may want to bring into your salad dressings. You could use some sour thing like vinegar, mustard, and or lemon juice. Lemon juice is probably the best, but you could also use some balsamic vinegar, can be good in there. And then you may want to use, I'll just list some other things because you can kind of mix and match and make all kinds of great dressings with these things. Raw onion, tahini, parsley, basil, some kind of salt if you use sodium, like salt or perhaps soy sauce or Bragg liquid aminos. And then nutritional yeast can be wonderful in salad dressings. Wasabi can be interesting if you want a little spicy kick in your dressing or other hot sauces, but I didn't already say mustard. And then also if you do use a little bit of added sugars and a little maple syrup, can also be nice in a salad dressing. So those are some things you may want to mix and match. You definitely find if you took the opportunity to join Whole Life Club, a lot of great oil-free dressing recipes in there. You can also use Google and find some good stuff online too. There are plenty of options. You do not need to suffer if you go oil-free. Next one I'll send over to Christy. This is from Courtney, who said, if a woman has metastatic estrogen positive breast cancer and is now in remission, how long should she stay on an estrogen blocker if she is following a whole foods plant-based diet? Also, does an estrogen blocker medication block the effects of estrogen plant foods like soy, making it not as necessary to add multiple servings of soy per day to a person's diet?
Great question. So with metastatic cancer in remission, amen and congratulations, that is amazing. I would stay on those estrogen blockers, the prescription ones, indefinitely. Honestly, until tumor markers rise and then you just switch to a different one. You don't thwart the pathway of these medications when you consume soy, and you're not sort of just consuming soy in excess. It all helps. So I would continue to eat the estrogen blocking foods. So we talked about just a second ago when I was mentioning soy and citrus and fiber. One that I didn't mention, which is literally my favorite of all time, would be ground flax seeds. So 1 to 2 tablespoons of ground flax seeds every single day. Just throw it into your oatmeal on top of a salad, into a smoothie. That is going to have phenomenal anti-estrogenic properties in the lignans, not to mention that it's our best source of omega-3 fatty acids. So do both. Consume the anti-estrogen foods and continue on those medications.
Thank you, Christy, very much for that. Next one's for Joel. This is from Kim, who said, I'm so appreciative of this summit. It was my first. I found every speaker interesting and useful. I'm a health practitioner with 30 years clinical experience. Some of my clients have been vegetarians or vegans for decades, and yet they have still gotten cancer and neurological diseases. Others have tried vegetarianism, but found they lacked energy and felt better when they added meat back into their diets. Can you comment on this, as well as the blood type, where type O's are classified as meat eaters?
Yes, a lot of questions there, and I'll probably tackle one of them. I do not preach that a plant-based diet is a total protection from all of the medical spectrum of illnesses that one can encounter. I don't think that's fair to the public. I don't think it's fair to our patients. It is, it moves the needle in favor of avoiding chronic diseases, and if done right, even reversing some of the chronic diseases. But yes, there will be people that ate a very clean whole food diet and get heart disease, cancer, even dementia. Genetic factors are a component. We've had numbers in the cardiovascular world where I am, 20 to 30% of heart disease is genetic. Now, genes load the gun and your lifestyle pulls the trigger. A lot of us have heard that term. But your genes are loaded in certain cases. I've had a real strong interest in my practice in an inherited cholesterol called lipoprotein little a that affects about 100 million Americans and causes premature stroke, heart attack, and valve disease. Well, there's a very small movement towards better outcomes if you eat plant-based with that inherited cholesterol particle that everybody should have checked in their blood. But it's not a complete cure. And we are going to need the pharmaceutical industry or future gene editing technology to deal with that. That's just one example. The other one I'll just tackle, people that went on a whole food plant diet and just didn't feel good and went back to meat, whether they were blood type 0, whether there were other factors. I don't discount those stories. Is it societal, social situation, a lot of family pressure, a lot of work pressure, a lot of travel where maybe it got difficult and just threw in the towel? Is it actually physiologic? And I'd love to study. Nobody's studied those people. What were their vitamin D levels, their omega-3 levels, their vitamin B12 levels? Well, let me get a food diary for a week and go through with them what were they eating. I actually don't see that in my practice. I see people give up. And I have a large cardiology practice, and by no means is everybody completely plant-based, although they're taught the advantages of it. But I don't see people bailing. I see people that lose it over the holidays and, and during quarantine and other situations, just pressure, but not ill health. And I think some of it is intelligent supplementation of the diet and also emphasizing whole food, rainbow colored. We want all those beautiful nutrients that nature gives us, but we don't want to be eating plant foods in a can or plant foods that are a chip and other such versions that are so popular. So don't give up. Keep going and just upgrade your diet if it isn't working for you, or get around a medical doctor that can do some testing.
I'd like to throw in 2 cents to this question also, just because I heard you mention that you were noticing in your patient load increase in neurodegenerative disorders. And one thing that has been born in the clinical studies amongst vegans is that it's quite possibly a lack of EPA and DHA, right? So you've got your essential omega-3 fatty acid, the alpha-linolenic acid, ALA. It's essential. You've got to consume it. You can get it in flax and other healthy plant sources. And then your body's going to create those extra carbons on its own, doesn't need any help to make the long chain fatty acids. And it's thought in vegans with neurodegenerative disorders that they do not get enough of the ALA to allow for the long chain fatty acids, which are neuroprotective. And therefore, it really doesn't break anybody's bank, and it could mean the difference between memory issues and, Alzheimer's, et cetera, in the future, and not to supplement with an EPA, DHA, 250 milligrams daily, algae-based. That may be an issue in those particular patients.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. And Christy, because we hear about the blood type diet so often, and I know you I've seen you respond to that before, so want to address that one quickly too.
Right. Well, when I first heard about that, I rushed out and got that book. I'm like, that is brilliant. I mean, your blood type yes, of course. And then I made it through 2 chapters of nonsense, really. There's no scientific evidence that your blood type would respond better or worse to different foods than another. So I wish it were that easy of a prescription, but it actually is that easy. Every blood type loves a plant-based diet. But as we've been discussing, some more so than others. And some of that is psychological or emotional or familial, societal pressures. And some of it might just be that people's guts and immune systems are going to respond to plant-based without the super effective results that we see in the vast majority of people. But blood type, not a part of it.
Yeah, thank you. Christy, next one for you as well comes from Mary Lou, who asked, should I get a mammogram every year? I'm very concerned about exposure to radiation. I've read controversial information about mammograms. The other question is, are there any breast cancer tests that are less invasive that I can request instead of the mammogram?
Okay, Mary Lou, I love this question because it is fraught with so much conflicting information from these very reputable societies in America. They all say different things in terms of like starting mammograms at age 40 or age 50, get them every year, every other year, stop at 74. No, stop when you're dead. So there's a lot of conflicting information and I can see why you're confused. On top of it, you are correct in being a little bit concerned about the exposures to radiation. So this has been actually well studied. And if you take 10,000 women and you do a mammogram every single year between ages 40 and 74 years old, 10,000 women, you will cause 8.6 breast cancers, radiation exposure induced breast cancers. On the flip side, with those exact same women, you will have identified 860 cancers. So we find exactly 100 times the number of cancers that we cause by doing annual mammography. So I side with the American Society of Breast Surgeons, and we say that you should begin if you're normal risk. Other people might be high risk and even started earlier, but normal risk women should begin annual mammograms at age 40. Don't stop and don't skip years until your life expectancy is 10 years or less. So that, as a numbers game, will identify the most cancers and save the most lives. When it comes to an alternative, there are 2 other imaging studies that are very well vetted, and that is screening ultrasound and screening breast MRI. MRI, everything has pros and cons. MRI is not radiation, it's a magnet, but you're injected with this substance called gadolinium. And we've actually found in cadaver studies of the brain that it pools in people's brains forever. What it does there, we don't know, but that doesn't seem like health food for the neurons. So annual MRI is not a tenable solution for screening for the masses. Not only because of the gadolinium, it's 45 minutes in a clinging tube. It's just not cost effective. It costs, way more than a mammogram. Ultrasound, on the other hand, is just sound waves. It's as innocent as it could be. As a standalone imaging study, it's still going to miss 30% of all breast cancers. So for dense breasted women, I love ultrasound combined with 3D mammograms. There is nothing else out there. Thermography does not identify cancers with any predictability. So unfortunately, I don't know how we're able to catapult people sitting in an upright position 500 miles an hour through the air in an airplane, and we still can't look inside a breast and know what's there, but we're stuck with mammograms, ultrasounds, and the occasional MRI.
Thanks, Christy. Next one's for my dad. This is from Karen, who said, can one of the speakers comment on the nutritional value of eating dark chocolate once per day and drinking a glass of red wine for the effects of resveratrol on the heart? Looking forward to hearing this presentation. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for that question. I'm a big fan of healthy pleasures and life being full of sensual joys and delights, and ones that are as health promoting as possible, so that we choose our vices carefully. And the problem with chocolate, it isn't really the chocolate, it's what we do to it. We tend to add a lot of milk products to it, milk chocolates. We add a lot of sugar to it. But if you're eating dark chocolate, 70% or higher, then you're not going to get those problems. And there are some really interesting nutritional substances in chocolate, in cocoa, and you can avail yourselves of those and enjoy the pleasure of it. Everybody likes them. Some of the substances that are in chocolate are actually psychoactive. Theobromine is one of them. It's originally chocolate was called the food of the gods. And there were cultures that actually used chocolate as the coin of the realm. They actually, that was their money, was cocoa. There's a whole long history of chocolate being used in different ways. Of course, we've tended to just fill it full of sugar and cream and butter and milk, and we've basically ruined it in the process. But if you enjoy dark chocolate and not milk chocolate and not high in sugar, a little bit of sugar is okay, and just in moderation, you know, that can add pleasure to your life and actually provide you with some nutrients that will be beneficial to you as well. But you don't want to depend on it for your nutrients. You want to go to your fruits and vegetables mainly for that, brightly colored ones. And then if you like dark chocolate, you know, enjoy. Red wine and resveratrol. Red wine has been touted because it does contain resveratrol, but it contains it because that's from the skin of the grapes. It's also in grape juice. It's also in a lot of berries, and without the alcohol. There really isn't any health benefit to alcohol whatsoever. And there are downsides to even modest amounts of alcohol that can start to increase cancer risk. Of course, everybody knows that excess alcohol is a terrible problem. Alcoholism is a disease, and it's rampant in our culture. We've normalized celebrating with alcohol, and we've normalized the use of alcohol in so much that we don't see that how damaging it can be, certainly in excess, but also even in moderation. So if you want to drink a glass of red wine once in a while, enjoy. Don't drink too much. That's really bad. And you can actually get the resveratrol from berries, from grapes, from pomegranates, from other fruits, and you don't need the alcohol, you know, for any real reason other than if you need it socially or you enjoy it socially. Just be real clear about what moderation really is, and because we've normalized so much. I mean, I see movies all the time where people are relaxing, they've got their alcohol. It's as if that's the only way we knew how as a culture to relax and to let go of our inhibitions a little bit and to become a little more spontaneous and become, you know, loosen up a little bit. If we can find healthier ways to loosen up that don't depend on alcohol, our lives are happier and better for it.
Thank you so much. Next one is for Joel. It's from Marie, who asked, I'd appreciate getting some answers on atrial fibrillation and if it can be controlled with diet.
All right, we've got about the next hour here answering this. How are you, Marie? We'll be succinct. Atrial fibrillation is a extraordinarily common irregularity of the heartbeat. Instead of being like a metronome 60 times a minute, it's a totally chaotic, erratic heartbeat. It can be as fast as 150, 160 beats a minute. A lot of people will feel it in their chest or short of breath. And surprisingly, people show up and they're experiencing a very obvious bout and they don't feel it, a very strange kind of spectrum. It requires a very thorough search for a cause, excess weight, sleep apnea, excessive thyroid, weakening of the heart, leaking of heart valves. I won't go through them all. Some of them may respond to a whole food plant diet. Many of my patients have lost weight on a whole food plant diet that I recommended. Their snoring has gone away. Their documented sleep apnea has improved dramatically, and it has added tremendously to controlling and avoiding further episodes of atrial fibrillation. There's even some good data from the Adventist Health Study that a whole food plant diet decreases the likelihood of developing thyroid disease, which is one of the root causes of atrial fibrillation. High blood pressure, I should say, is actually the most frequent underlying root cause of atrial fibrillation. And on average, we know from the Adventist health studies that people that declare their diet as vegan have a much lower incidence of high blood pressure and a much lower average blood pressure than those that eat a typical American diet. So those are some of the paths. Is it a cure for all? It isn't, because there can be other driving causes like a very leaky mitral valve, and you aren't going to fix that with a plant diet alone. But you don't want to you don't want your arteries clogging up, so there's still every reason to embrace the diet. The good news is it used to be a real hassle on a blood thinner called Coumadin or warfarin, or some of us call rat poison, because we often instructed patients to limit or eliminate their leafy green vegetables. And for the past 10 years, we've had wonderful alternatives to those prescription drugs that have largely replaced it. And the new ones you see on TV, Eliquis and Xarelto, have no green leafy interaction. So it's easy to be a vegan and a whole food plant eater and take your proper medication if that's what's required.
Thanks, Joel. Now we're going to go back to Christy with another cancer-related question. This is from Leela, who said, I'm trying to avoid any recurrence of breast cancer. I'm working on eating healthy foods and also trying to figure out which supplements could help. Would you suggest I use supplements, and which ones would help or might help with avoiding breast cancer disease?
Terrific question, and an important one. The best way to stave off a recurrence of cancer is going to be to pay attention to what you're eating overall, right? So just anything plant-based. There's so many varieties of vegan, and that's why we all tend to use the phrase plant-based instead, because highly processed foods that contain excess amounts of bad oils are going to be very inflammatory, too much salt and sugar, etc. So the more tons of fresh fruits and vegetables, legumes, lentils, beans, peas, nuts that you can eat, the better. There are a couple of just secret weapons, and one of them is green tea. The EGCG in green tea has been shown in stages 1 and 2 breast cancer to drop recurrence from 3 cups a day by 57% for stage 1 and 36% for stage 2. So there's something very powerful in green tea. It's the EGCG, epigallocatechin gallate, and that is going to help identify and eliminate any rogue cancer cells. So for sure, 3 cups of green tea a day. A squeeze of lemon in there boosts the antioxidant absorption by 5-fold. So always green tea with lemon. Matcha powder, sometimes I just throw that in my smoothie. Confessions, I'm not the biggest green tea fan, but I will just plug and chug it anyway, because 3 cups a day in someone who's never had breast cancer drops it in half. I've mentioned several times now the anti-estrogenic foods that are also equally as effective really in estrogen negative, because they contain more than just anti-estrogen properties. They're really anti-carcinogenic. So 3 servings of soy, at least a half a cup of raw or lightly steamed broccoli a day, and 2 tablespoons of flax would be my 3 go-to, and the green tea. When you ask about supplements, if you're truly following a diehard plant-based diet, there are just a couple you need to pay attention to for future health, and also to keep your immune system fully functional to stave off that recurrence. Number 1 would be B12. You can do a 2,500 milligram just once a week. This is a like cherry flavored thing I pop in my mouth. My kids do too every Monday. Monday's B12 day, and we make sure we get it. The other is going to be vitamin D. And this is really important in breast cancer patients. It's been shown to decrease recurrence by like 75% in premenopausal women to have adequate levels of vitamin D. There are a number of reasons why we have inadequate levels. It's been studied now that 41% of Americans do not have adequate levels. So you simply have to get it checked. And you want to see that level between like 40 and 80 nanograms or something. You look at the reference lab from the lab. But the point is, some breast cancer patients need to be taking 50,000 units weekly as a single injection until they reach adequate levels, and then they can drop down. But at a minimum, you'd be taking 2,000 a day. Depending on where you live, if you're north or south of 40 degrees latitude, especially in the winter months, you're going to need 4,000 a day. I'm in LA in California, so I get plenty of sun. I get the requisite 12 minutes of no sunscreen sunshine every single day, and eat a lot of foods that are going to work fine for me. But most people probably need to supplement with vitamin D, and it has direct breast cancer recurrence ramifications. We covered the EPA DHA long chain fatty acid supplement in algae form for neuroprotection down the road. And those are the real big ones. The other things you want to have your blood drawn and just see, because many plant-based people, and this has direct ramifications again on breast cancer recurrence, can be low in calcium, in zinc, in iron, and in iodine. Iodine is super easy to get. Iodized salt, half a teaspoon a day, you're good to go. So, you know, while excess amounts of salts, Dr. Khan will tell you, are no bueno for high blood pressure and other illnesses, half a teaspoon a day is going to let you flavor your favorite food that you want, and you're going to get your iodine in there. So those are the biggies.
All righty. Thank you so much for that. So we heard from Agnieszka, and Agnieszka, I apologize if I am mispronouncing your name. Agnieszka said, greetings from Poland, Europe. This was my first summit and I loved the entire event. Thank you. Polish diet recommendations. I'm sorry, I will address this one, just so we all know where it's going. Polish diet recommendations for cancer patients and survivors strongly advise eating animal and plant-based protein in a 1-to-1 ratio. How to convince patients and people who are not yet sick they should avoid animal products? Well, thank you for the question. Thank you for joining us from Poland. Thank you for being a part of the food revolution. It is all over the world. Everybody eats, and what we eat has an impact on our bodies and health. And the amazing thing is, as diverse as humanity is, there are certain basic realities about nutritional needs that seem pretty pervasive throughout the human race. As to the dietary recommendations, encouraging people to get half of their protein from animal products and half from plant products, I don't know who wrote those recommendations or what they're thinking, but it sounds like your major interest right now is how to share something different with people. And what I would say is, number one, get informed yourself so you understand. And thank you for being here and being a part of the summit. That's a great step. And also learn from experts and share what they have to say. I don't know about you, but a lot of my friends, they'll listen to someone like, Christy or Joel or other experts that we have in the summit, and they'll be like, wow, this expert said this. They listen to me and they're like, oh yeah, that's just Ocean, he's just on his trip, And a lot of people are like that, especially family, I think, in many cases. And so there's this process of learning to expose people to trusted authorities and experts with books, TED Talks, presentations, summit presentations. And when you share something, a resource with somebody that's from a trusted authority that really lays out the case, that can make a huge difference. And so Christy wrote Breasts and Owner's Manual. Is that it right there?
Polish.
It's in Polish.
It's in
How about that?
Polish.
Okay, wonderful. Great. Fantastic. Yep. So anybody who's concerned about breast cancer, if you're in Poland, grab it.
Polish too.
Which one is?
The Whole Heart Solution.
The Whole Heart Solution. Okay, which is a fantastic book about healing your heart and heart health. And that's in Polish too. So there you go. I think you've got some reading ahead of you. Agnieszka, enjoy. Let's see. Next up, we have a question from Joyce. There are a few different, it's a multi-part question. Let's see. She said, wait, no, that's not the one. Excuse me. No, this is a question from Imelda. First part is for Joel. What is the most effective way to determine one's macro and micronutrient needs to achieve optimal health? Any thoughts on macro and micronutrient need appraisal?
Yeah, macronutrients are simply dividing food into its percentage from fat calories, carbohydrate calories, protein calories. We know the human body can take a whole lot of different ranges and actually do well for a while. We can go from Okinawa and study the longevity pocket where 90%, 85% of the calories are complex carbohydrates, the famous purple potatoes of Okinawa and whole foods. So you can eat almost exclusively carbohydrate-based foods with very little natural fats and very low amounts of protein and thrive and do very well. And there's quite a bit of data, including some recent studies about low protein diets having a survival advantage, an amino acid called methionine. But we also know that you can look around the globe and find different cultures that have different diets and also do quite well, maybe not as well as the Okinawans or the Loma Lindens, but some of the other centenarian or longevity pockets. So there is a variety in the macronutrient spectrum. Anything that's studied, a plant-based fat source, maybe an avocado or a nut, is going to be better than butter and lard. And a plant-based protein source, whether we call it a bean or a pea or a lentil or a green leafy, is going to be healthier on average than an animal-based protein source. And carbohydrates tend to be whole grains and plant-based by their very nature, of course. When you get to micronutrients, there isn't really a prescribed formula that you can gear your diet. We keep talking about this rainbow colored, brightly colored, whole food spectrum of foods. You want diversity in your food. You want to eat a whole lot of different foods during the week rotating. We had a famous actor, Liam Hemsworth, announced a few months ago he had a kidney stone and was a little disappointed in his plant-based diet. And he was putting pounds of spinach into his smoothie every morning. Well, you want diversity. You want spinach one day, and kale one day, and bok choy one day, and arugula one day, and maybe one day don't do a smoothie and have a bowl of oatmeal. You want diversity, and that will provide those micronutrients. And those micronutrients are the selenium and the chromiums and the irons and things that you're not going to see necessarily labeled completely on your food source. But you can either go to an advanced health clinic and actually measure micronutrients, at least some of the ones we've talked about repeatedly, that Dr. Funk and I, vitamin D, B12, omega-3, but you can actually measure the whole spectrum. Or you can probably trust the process, be like Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker and just trust the process that your plate will provide those micronutrients.
Thanks, Joel. Imelda also asked a question I'll address. What's a reputable algae-based DHA and EPA supplement brand? Well, Imelda, there are quite a few. There are actually many options in this regard, and we don't want to get into specifically, focusing on saying, this brand is the best, because there's a lot of options out there. I know that the brand that I use and that I think Dr. Khan uses and that also we use with our children is called Complement. And it's actually a little mixture. So it was made by plant-based eaters who wanted to focus on the specific nutrients that would help long-term plant-based eaters get that extra kick of the things they needed a bit more of in many cases. So Complement has vitamin D3, EPA, DHA, B12, and then they also put in, they have Complement Plus, which also adds in some zinc, iodine, selenium. I think that's about it. And those folks are good people. They've done a lot of good research, and I feel really good about it. And if you want to get it and support our work, they make a contribution if you buy from foodrevolution.org/complement. Again, that's foodrevolution.org/complement. But again, there are many options out there. Algae sourced seems to be better and certainly doesn't involve any damage to fish or oceans. And I see no reason to go with fish oil. There may be some advantages to eating fish, arguably. There also are some disadvantages with heavy metal pollution and environmental impact and ethical impact. That's a personal choice, many factors that go on with that. But when it comes to supplementation, you might as well go algae sourced and get a cleaner product and have less negative impact on the planet. Christy, one more question from Imelda. Actually, Imelda had about 10 questions, but we're just getting to a few of them here. Do CT scans produce more breast cancer stem cells?
Do CT scans produce stem cells?
She said, do CT scans produce breast cancer stem cells?
No, they don't.
Okay.
They can cause, they're radiation, and a CT scan literally has about, I know a PET CT scan has 64 times the radiation of a mammogram. So insofar as radiation can cause DNA mutations, it's theoretically possible, but there's no study that talks about specifically creating breast cancer stem cells from radiation from CT.
Okay, thank you. Joel, this is for you from Erdine. I've been cancer-free 2 years, no chemo or radiation. However, 2 years before the diagnosis, I stopped eating meat, just seafood, vegetables, and fruit, and I exercised more. I am concerned now. I want to get off low-dosage blood pressure medication. Help me, please.
All right. I mean, I think that question actually applies to a lot of people, not just Erdine's fortunately seemingly good experience by overcoming cancer. Blood pressure is actually the #1 cause of death in the world. That's according to something called the Global Burden of Disease Study. 11 million people a year die of high blood pressure. Might be manifested as a stroke, an aneurysm, a heart attack, loss of a limb, loss of a leg, kidney failure. So it's a huge issue. #1, get a home blood pressure cuff. That's probably the most frequent request I have for my patients. You go to a doctor once a year, that's the only blood pressure you get. It's an important vital sign. Go to the drugstore, get one you use on your arm, chill out, relax, put on some Mozart music, and check a couple blood pressures a few times a week. You'll never know, because it is a silent disease. But if you do identify persistently, and you end up on medication, we do talk, and I think authentically, about reversing a lot of chronic diseases with a whole food plant diet. And it's everything we talked about. You may end up losing some weight. Very effective way to manage blood pressure. You may get more magnesium in your diet. Very effective way to manage blood pressure. You may change your microbiome with all the fiber that you're eating that you might have missed out with. There's no fiber in the fish you're eating, so you might want to re-examine how often. And although I doubt the fish intake in your diet is directly causing blood pressure, Ocean just mentioned, mercury toxicity, which is a real deal. I check mercury on all my patients. My fish eaters have high levels and my plant eaters don't, is a trend, you'll find in a fair amount. Mercury can raise blood pressure. There are special foods. 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed a day lowers blood pressure. You heard Dr. Funk talk about flaxseed. I'm a flaxseed freak. I'm sure Ocean and John would agree. Garlic lowers blood pressure. You can buy capsules with aged garlic, seem to have a little more potent effect than even just eating garlic, but all garlic is a good choice. Pomegranates, great choice for naturally lowering blood pressure. If you're looking for a few kind of food specific choices, add in the exercise, get your 7 hours of sleep, make sure you're not missing sleep apnea. There's a chance working with your medical team, don't do it without your medical team, you will end up prescription free and have that blood pressure you want, 120, 125 over 70. So it's a goal to shoot for, and quite a reasonable one that many people attain.
Thanks so much, Joel. Next one is from Catherine, and it may be very similar advice. If it is, we can move along. But she asked, what are the best ways to reduce hypertension naturally?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. Food is the central feature of everything we're talking about. Fitness is very important. Adequate sleep, which you really have to plan for nowadays, is very important. I'm a fan of infrared sauna. There's data it can help both lose weight, detoxify, lower blood pressure. We're all kind of mind, body, spiritual people here. Good data that yoga, Tai Chi, meditation can naturally help you lower your blood pressure. There are supplements, but then you're taking one pill instead of another pill, a natural, perhaps, pill instead of a prescription drug, but magnesium before bed and coenzyme Q10. These are vitamins you can read about that may help you manage your blood pressure. Getting that vitamin D level you've heard recurrently that you might be missing. I'm in a climate where we don't get as much sunshine as Dr. Funk. So, watching that. These are all some natural ways. But #1, check your blood pressure.
Thanks so much. Next one's for my dad. This is from Alice Seen. What is the best way to reverse diabetes?
Well, since everyone who's watching this, listening to us now, have bought the empowerment package, you have lifelong access to all the interviews from the summit we just did. And there's one of them with Brenda Davis that focuses entirely on this issue. And it's excellent. I'm going to refer you to Brenda Davis's interview because she goes into this in such depth and clarity. She's a very credible and a reputable source. And I think you will find your answers. You will find levels of answers there that you hadn't even understood the questions to yet. And it's effective. You can reverse diabetes effectively. And she'll show you how.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you. I'll address this next one from Carl. He said, how does one know the strength of one's immune system? One can understand one's blood pressure or triglyceride level, but not the immune strength. I've asked this question many times and never got an answer. Well, Carl, there are lots of ways to assess immune system strength, and you could look at white blood cell counts or various other things. But from my perspective, it's a symphony. There are so many different moving parts, and the proof is kind of in the pudding, so to speak. And so what I would first look at is the results. How is it working for you? And for example, one thing you might look at is how often do you get sick? The average American gets the common cold 3 to 4 times per year. But some people never get colds, or once every 5 years or something like that. I'm lucky to be kind of in that camp, knock on wood. But, you know, and other people find that they're getting sick constantly. So there's some immune system issues going on if you're sick a lot, because a healthy immune system can be exposed to a certain amount of certain pathogens and fend them off or find its way through that. One of the things we're seeing with COVID-19 is that some people have an overactive immune system. It's called a cytokine storm, and that can actually lead to hospitalization or worse. And so what we really want is a smart immune system that knows how to respond efficiently and effectively to what it's facing, and can develop antibodies to new things that it may not have encountered before, as well as resurrecting antibodies to old things that it has encountered before, that it already has figured out kind of how to deal with. We have a couple of resources that I want to make sure you avail yourself of if you haven't already. There's a handbook called Smart Immunity that we wrote that comes with the empowerment package. You'll find it there in the bonuses section. And it really goes over what we know about immune health and some of the top foods in particular that can be beneficial. And because there are some foods that are shown in a lot of studies. Now, we don't know specifically with COVID-19, just to be clear, because there haven't been a lot of studies on that, but there have been a lot of studies on immune health in response to colds and flus and other viruses and other illnesses. And it stands to reason that the same foods that are beneficial with those viruses could be helpful with this as well. So generally, having a healthy and smart immune system is a good thing. As far as other measures, Joel or Christy, do you have any suggestions if someone wanted to look at any kind of blood tests that you might look at for immune health?
I agree with you, Ocean. There isn't a single standard blood test that we do in practice. A complete blood count is routine, and you don't neither want to have an excessively low nor an excessively high white blood count. May give some indication. There's also, you break down the white blood count into something called the differential. You know, it's, again, repetition of important information. Adequate vitamin D levels have a role in immunity. Adequate blood zinc levels. Not very common to go to your doctor and get a blood zinc level. It's very common to be deficient, but you might ask for it. Adequate blood iodine levels. Not very common. These are actually inexpensive blood tests that more than ever for breast health, cardiovascular health, and immune health. You might double check right now and say, you know, next time I get my checkup, I'm going to ask omega-3 levels. And that self-check you just mentioned, how often are you getting sick? And that's about as good as we're at it right now.
I think the other end of the equation is also the answer to an intact, highly functional immune system would be that all the inflammatory markers are low. So we do and can check things like IGF-1, interleukin-1, interleukin-6, TNF-alpha, and these, if elevated, are telling me that your immune system is not all that it could be.
Yeah, I would agree with what Dr. Funk said. The simplest one, just so that people have something actionable, is high sensitivity C-reactive protein. That's a blood test. It's a whole mouthful, but every family doctor, internist, gynecologist, breast surgeon, cardiologist can order that one. And, you know, the theory that's being bandied about, why are people with obesity doing poorly with COVID-19, is that they're starting with a hyper immune system, a hyper-inflammatory state. So tipping over into the cytokine storm is kind of already a little closer than a person without that health condition, very common health condition. And many people with obesity have an elevated high sensitivity C-reactive protein, but there's many other reasons that it might be abnormal also.
Thank you. Let's see, this one is for Joel. It's from Liz. She asked, what would you suggest for someone who's been eating a plant-based diet for years and still has high cholesterol?
Very good question, Liz. Very common. You know, again, specifics of what's the diet. My clinic, it's what's your breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, drinks, and the whole gamut. But we'll assume it's a pretty healthy version. You know, cholesterol can be determined largely by genetics. There's no doubt. The Nobel Prize in Medicine in Dallas, Texas in 1985, when I was a first-year fellow, was a Nobel Prize for the genetics of cholesterol and LDL receptor metabolism. We didn't need to go there. I mentioned a more obscure kind of cholesterol called lipoprotein little a that can be damaging and is genetic and very common. So one aspect is genetics. And if you're really nailing your whole food plant diet and you didn't experience that 100-point drop in cholesterol that you see on certain documentaries and stories, and that's very real. There are people that do. 6 weeks later, their cholesterol is down 100 points. It may be your genetics. We know there are people that just produce more cholesterol than others. They're called hyperproducers. So you may need to turn to special foods. There's a diet out there that Dr. David Jenkins in Toronto developed called the Portfolio Diet. You can just look it up on the internet. It's some extra soy, some extra almonds, some extra beta glucan, rich oatmeal and such. It can be quite effective to focus on a few foods that maybe you didn't include in your whole food plant diet or could include more of. You may need medication, or there are supplements. I'm always in favor of trying a natural approach that you may have to add to your diet to get that goal. And not everybody needs a cholesterol that's super low. Heart patients need a cholesterol that's super low. So that's kind of what I do is first I figure out, are you young inside or old inside? Then we can tailor your approach.
And would you also agree that sometimes a lot of exercise can be helpful?
Absolutely. Exercise, proper sleep, balancing hormones, are all potential components of the kind of holistic approach to natural cholesterol levels.
Yeah. Robin said, okay, this is also for Joel, said, I live in Costa Rica on the Caribbean coast. We eat a lot of coconuts, about one a day. And I love the coconut meat. Is coconut flesh good or not so good for heart and cardiovascular health? And also in the same regard, can eating too many avocados be not good for the cardiovascular system?
Can I start by saying how jealous I am for where you live? Well, not only ultimate paradise, but at least the Nicoya Peninsula of Costa Rica is considered one of the blue zones, and you're probably pretty close to that area. Although it's not described that that particular little subset has a lot of coconut in their diet. This is kind of a classic example of a whole food versus extracting and creating a food from a whole food. We're not so up on coconut oil in the cardiovascular field because it's extracted from the whole plant and it's got 85% saturated fat, and they are not identical to the fats in butter and lard. There may be more lauric acid and Ocean, you mentioned medium chain triglycerides that you might sprinkle on your salad once in a while and such. These are modified. But when you take the meat of a coconut and the water of a coconut and all the fiber of a coconut and you leave it intact, it is in certain Pacific and Central American communities pretty common, and we don't know for sure that that's a real risk for disease. Just get your labs checked, may be working for you. It's when we change the coconut to 100% fat-based product, coconut oil, that again, you may or may not experience a rise in your LDL cholesterol. On average, people do, and heart patients should probably avoid it. Avocados in my world are a whole food. There is data that they indeed tend to lower cholesterol. They're very high in fiber, not often identified. There is some saturated fat in an avocado, but more of it is omega-9, monounsaturated fats, and fiber, and nutrition. So an avocado to me is a joy, and I don't restrict most of my patients from avocados in their diet.
Thanks so much, Joel. Next one is from Israel. I'll address this one. Israel said, my partner has the belief that onions and garlic are bad for him as they cause inflammation. This is mainly the justification he has to avoid these products as well as legumes. All my food has at least one of these products. Do you have any recommendations on how I should approach this challenge to show him the benefits of plant-based nutrition? Well, first of all, of course, there's no one-size-fits-all approach. No one food is good for everybody. Just because studies show that a certain food is good for the vast majority of people most of the time doesn't mean it's good for everybody all the time. But quite frankly, a lot of studies show that legumes and alliums, including garlic and onions, are good for most people most of the time. And my top recommendation is actually to go ahead and give your partner a couple of articles we've written. If you go to foodrevolution.org and then just search in the search bar there for alliums, ALLIUMS, that's onions and garlic, or just search for garlic or onions. You'll find the same article probably. And there's also one on legumes, and you can get the whole story on what the studies say and how to eat them, and even recipes and so forth. There's a lot of research out on these food groups, and it's good stuff for most people most of the time. We also talk with legumes about how to soak them and prepare them to deal with the gas issue. They don't call them the musical fruit for nothing, but there are ways around that. And we talk about that as well, so you can make them your friends. Sounds like you're already enjoying these, but maybe your partner could benefit from what we're sharing here. Okay, let's see. Next up, we have a question for Christy from Sarah Jane. I'd like to ask how I could help my son who is disabled and suffering from depression and fatigue. He's vegan and gluten-free and mostly eats organic. He supplements with algal oils and B12. Since last year, his depression is bad at times. Any thoughts for Sarah Jane's son?
One clinically proven supplement for depression in children is saffron. So that herb actually has been shown to manage depression in people, in mood swings in women, ADHD in children. So we have a high quality supplement called Safrany at Pink Lotus Elements. That's our online store. That's one option, but even just increasing saffron in the foods that you're cooking can help with depression. Activity, so motion, be it just walking briskly or actually finding some sort of really super sweaty routine that he loves, but sticking with that elevates endorphins and, works antagonistically against depression. You get some, happy juice flowing. So daily exercise would actually is as kind of basic as that sounds. It's probably the single most important intervention he could make.
Thank you. Next one's from my dad. It's from Mia, who said in the 2019 and 2020 summit, some experts talked about the benefits of coffee, but how the coffee is brewed is never discussed. Were the studies that tout its benefits done with brewed coffee? What about espresso style coffee, which is made very differently? No paper filter is used, for example. I'd love to know John's thoughts on this.
Well, we have a lot of studies telling us that coffee has remarkable benefits. It is actually the leading source of antioxidants in the American diet. Now, that's partly because coffee is so high in antioxidants, but it's also because the standard American diet is so low in them. And if you're eating lots of produce and lots of fruits and vegetables, you're getting the plethora of micronutrients that you need. You're getting the whole portfolio, the whole banquet of them. Coffee adds some important ones too. It's not necessary. If you don't like it, if it makes you jittery, if it makes it difficult for you to sleep, don't drink it. You don't need to have it. If you can tolerate it, it does show a lot of benefits. The studies, however, have not distinguished between different brewing methods. They'll ask people how much coffee they drink, or they will fill out questionnaires. Sometimes in the course of, they'll study how much coffee they're drinking in a given week or month, or over whatever period of time the study is taking place. But I haven't seen any that actually went further into the weeds and distinguished between different brewing methods. There probably are some differences, but I don't know the data. I don't know of any data that would answer that question with clarity.
I'll just jump in, Ocean, if you don't mind.
Sure.
There are too many articles and too much science and too many headlines. None of us can, have our finger on everything. Just in the last couple of weeks, a study from the European Society of Cardiology was published with over 500,000 participants, and it's a classic nutrition study. They filled out questionnaires, they were followed for a while. There was an ability to distinguish those that drank coffee through a filter and those that did not. It actually was a question that was asked. And there was a reduced rate of cardiac events in those that answered, I have filtered coffee, and not in those that said, I don't. There is some science about coffee being able to raise your cholesterol very minimally. And if you filter it, it can bind those components and may not raise your cholesterol very minimally. If you get 500,000 subjects, even small little changes may translate into something measurable. But when you look at the whole spectrum, that is a big study, but there are differences of opinion. Classically in Greece, and the blue zone called Ikaros, boiled coffee, and there's no filter in boiled coffee, kind of like Turkish coffee, Arabic coffee, just boiled, finely ground coffee has always been a component of the high antioxidant rich diet that's associated with their longevity. I'm not convinced that we have to start adding paper filters. I just ask everybody, don't drink out of styrofoam cups, partly for the environment, partly for your own health. Get a mug, it's reusable, or if you have to, at least a paper cup. Just stay away from plastics. I think it makes a healthy coffee very unhealthy to put hot water in a plastic cup.
Good advice.
And I would add one more thing, if I may, about coffee and its benefits. Starbucks and similar places have kind of learned how to take a cup of coffee and add all kinds of flavorings and sugar and other sweeteners to it, and all kinds of fats, usually saturated ones, usually from dairy, and make something that is more like ice cream than it is like coffee, because it's so high in fat and sugar. And they've really ruined something that can be beneficial. And when we're talking use or potentials of coffee, we're not talking about those types of concoctions. So I just wanted to be clear about that the frappuccinos and the exotic and often expensive drinks at Starbucks and similar places to Starbucks are not what we're talking about when we're talking about and touting the benefits of coffee.
Yeah, some of those drinks have more sugar than Coke does per cup. Absolutely. I'll address this next one from Peter. It was a fairly long one, but key points in it. He asked, what about kefir, yogurt, and other fermented dairy produce from, say, sheep or goats? Also said, I've now switched to soy yogurt because it was mentioned in the Summit interviews and in some recipes in the empowerment package. And he's also asking about unrefined oils like from flaxseed, hemp, olive, and virgin coconut. So Peter, addressing this kind of briefly, the studies I've seen, if one is going to consume dairy products, then having them be from pasture raised or grass fed animals, be they cows or goats or sheep, and having it be made into fermented dairy, fermented like yogurt, from a nutritional standpoint, from an ethical standpoint, and from an environmental standpoint, that's probably about the best you'll find. There are some studies showing health benefits with yogurt for sure when it's not sweetened excessively. But we also find that that's probably largely because of the probiotics that are in there. And you can also get those by fermenting, as you are doing, it sounds like, soy milk or almond milk, or other there's a lot of milks out there now, but soy and almond seem to work particularly well for that. So you can find what works for you. I personally still have some ethical concerns personally about lactating mammal milk consumption, because in order to keep a mammal lactating, it's got to have babies. In order to have babies, what's going to happen to those babies? Maybe the girls will be used for milk. Well, the boys are almost certainly going to end up being killed if for meat. And so, you're participating in that system. For some people, that's a bigger problem than for others. Purely from a health perspective, for most people, is a little yogurt from sheep or goats gonna be a good or bad thing for your health? I don't know. Depends on your body and your system. But I'd suggest that you stay with the soy yogurt. We actually have a homemade, we make our own homemade soy milk with sprouted soybeans, or sprouted organic soybeans, and water. That's all that's in it. And then we make that into yogurt in a yogurt maker. And it's not super thick, but it's sour and kind of delicious. And I then use that in smoothies and things. And I feel like I'm getting the wonderful benefits of that soy, and I'm getting, the benefits of the cultures for the yogurt. And soy milk homemade doesn't taste so great, but when it's yogurtified, that kind of beanie taste disappears because it's replaced. So a few thoughts there. As far as the oils, we've talked about them some already. I think that the high level from my perspective is, again, bottled oils are not really a health food, but there are definitely some health benefits to flax oil in particular because of the omega-3 content. You're better off eating flax seeds, but if you're going to use oil and you're not going to heat it, flax oil is one option if you can get it pretty fresh. You can also, find some value in potentially olive oil. That's arguable. A lot of different opinions on that topic. I don't think it's a panacea or something that's gonna eat olive oil to save your life. But I do think there's some benefit potentially. It's still a very refined food. It's not olives. And as far as coconut oil, as Joel said earlier, super highly saturated. And for all the people talking about its super health benefits, a lot of them sell coconut oil, I've noticed. So not a huge fan. I don't believe any of us are here. Let's see, next one is going to be for Christy. This is from Robin, who said, my sister is 52 years old. She's been suffering from fibromyalgia for about 5 years. She's just beginning to make some minor changes in her diet, stopping most meat consumption, but still eating a lot of dairy, especially cheese. Is there any dietary recommendation for women who suffer from fibromyalgia?
Oh, there absolutely is. So Neil Barnard, another Food Revolution favorite, just came out with the book, Your Body in Balance. And he talked about that. If you want to re-listen to his segment, fibromyalgia is one of the things he touched upon in the book, and basically found that it was completely reversed by a plant-based lifestyle in the vast majority of women. One of the things to avoid, to tell your sister about, if she's still more vegetarian, it sounds like, than actually totally plant-based, is high fat dairies. There's a increased level of estrogens in the high fat because estrogen is bound in the fat in part. And then we don't really know the exact whys. Dairy's always been, when it comes to female organs, so like uterine and cramping and PMS and fibromyalgia, which is more generalized, obviously, just, and has a constellation of joint and muscle aches and fatigue, et cetera. But we find that fibromyalgia is mostly in women and not men, and it could have something to do with estrogen imbalances. But high fat dairy is definitely a contributor. So if she feels she must continue with some dairy, make sure it's low fat. That would be one good piece of advice to help her start reversing some of this fibromyalgia. But absolutely, the evidence is in. Eating plant-based should really help her, if not completely reverse the fibromyalgia.
Thank you. Next one's for my dad. It comes from Marianne, who said, the summit has been so educational. What's your opinion of almond butter and other nut butters?
Well, I like them. I enjoy them. The whole nut is probably healthier. When you grind a food, you're exposing it to oxygen. You're starting to it will degrade over time more rapidly, but they have a place. I kind of notice I'm being asked about these special foods, coffee and chocolate and red wine and almond butter, foods that are really delicious for most people. Most of us really like these things. They aren't the healthiest form of, if you want to get resveratrol, as I mentioned, probably better to get it from pomegranates or cherries or blueberries or raspberries than from red wine. But some of us like a glass of red wine, and that's not going to kill you unless you're an alcoholic, and then you have to stay away from it entirely. But with almond butter and the other nut butters, I like them. I enjoy them. I don't eat a lot of them. Most of the nuts I eat are whole nuts. And I like that better, actually. But once in a while, almond butter or peanut butter, which is kind of the lower class nut butter, and some people look down on it because of that. But actually, it's Nutritionally, it's very similar to the other nuts, and it has a place. And especially for kids, you don't have to put jelly with it. You could put peanut butter and a slice of cantaloupe, or peanut butter with a slice of apple, or peanut butter with a slice of watermelon. So
or banana.
Or a banana or a pear, because what the fruit does is, in a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, the jelly, what it does is it sweetens it and it moistens it, but it does it in a pretty unhealthy way. If you use a piece of fruit instead, and I have eaten peanut butter and watermelon sandwiches, believe it or not. And I realize that's a little out there, but I have, and they're really good. And the fresh fruit provides the moisture and the sweetener in a natural way, in a healthy way. And you don't need the jelly, you don't need the jam. For the bread, I use a sprouted wheat bread, and it's organic. And you can go up level these things, and the nut butters that I use are organic if possible, and enjoy them.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, we are nearing the end of our time here. We've got a lot of questions on one topic that I want to ask Joel to address, and then we'll just share some closing words, each of us. Joel, it's about fat. We've touched on it a little bit, but I'm seeing so many people asking, saying they're confused about oils and fats in the diet. Should we eat oil? Should we not? What's wrong with olive oil? Is olive oil healthy? What about healthy fats? They're saying that there are different doctors out there advising different things. Dr. Esselstyn is saying, very low fat, no bottled oils ever. And then we've got other folks, Dr. Mark Hyman and others, saying that fat is really important for health. How do we make sense of this, and what's your take?
Well, thank you for teeing me up to an impossible question to satisfy everybody. But you got to end up going back to the science. The human body can accommodate a lot of range of diets. And you can go to Finland in 1970 and see the highest heart attack rate in the world. 40% of their calories were from fat. Fat's bad. You go to Crete in 1970, lowest heart attack rate in the Mediterranean basin. 40% of the calories were from fat. Well, it's sausage and butter in Finland, and it was largely olive oil in Crete. There are enormous differences, and we have to be very specific. Are you eating lard, butter, ghee, coconut oil? Very rich in saturated fats that clearly scientifically promote a high cholesterol and the development of atherosclerosis, and possibly related even to some cancers and brain disease? Or are you eating plant-based fats? The whole source, the better: nuts, avocados, seeds, olives, and possibly some of the ones you've mentioned, flax oils, extra virgin, very, very specifically extra virgin olive oil. There is a range to say, if you're not a heart patient reversing atherosclerosis, if you're not a type 2 diabetic trying to lose weight and reverse type 2 diabetes, or potentially a patient with obesity, which is a fairly big segment of the entire population. But if you're not one of those three, then healthy fats, avocados, nuts, seeds, and even extra virgin olive oil have a role in a healthy diet if you enjoy it, just as your father said. If a couple of drops of extra virgin olive oil on your salad may help you absorb more of the fat-soluble vitamins that are in your food. There's too much tradition and too much history. And even just in the last 6 weeks, 8 weeks, Harvard School of Public Health, 130,000 doctors, nurses, if you replace butter with extra virgin olive oil in their studies, your heart disease risk goes down. And so it is a transition from where people are starting to a place they can do it long-term. We want people to be in this plant-based movement to enjoy the health benefits long-term. So I'm very loving and open to the transition. And if they stop and they're stuck with avocados and nuts and olives and some extra virgin olive oil, go for it. Except if you're my angina patient that's trying to fight a bypass. We have to honor that data for those relatively unusual patients.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Joel. And thank you all. That's quite a few questions. I'm impressed with how far we got. And there's a lot we didn't get to. So for everybody who didn't get your question answered, stay with us. Stay with the Food Revolution Network. We send out we publish blog articles twice every single week. That's about 700 a year on critical topics that our community is asking about. You can search on our website and find answers to all kinds of questions. And there's other research out there. Stay with Whole Life Club. We give opportunities to ask questions in there. If you join, you can ask questions of our experts every month. We have another health revolutionary, and keep learning and keep growing. And now for all of us, I want to invite us each to just share any closing words as we wrap up this time together. Christy, let's start with you, then we'll go to Joel, then my dad, and then I'll wrap up.
Okay, well, first closing words, I'd just like to thank you, John and Ocean, so much for allowing me to participate not only in today's event, but in Food Revolution and in your personal lives. It's been a joy and honor to come alongside you in this fight to improve Americans in the world at large on every level we can think of. And in closing, I just want to remind our listeners and viewers that when it comes particularly to breast health, only 5 to 10% of all breast cancer on planet Earth is attributed to an inherited genetic mutation. So if you are finding yourself saying like, oh, you know, breast cancer doesn't run in my family, that's not our thing. High blood pressure, that's our thing. I really urge you to think again, because 87% of women diagnosed with breast cancer do not have a single first-degree relative with breast cancer. And while genetic predispositions are real and they put you at astronomically high risk, they are really not the driving force behind this essentially pandemic of breast cancer, with predicted numbers. I mean, there were 1.7 million cases of invasive breast cancer worldwide last year. And it's predicted to basically double by the year 2050, unless we get onto a path that slows, prevents, reverses this disease. And the path, in my very well-researched opinion, is clearly one that is paved with plants and exercise and an avoidance of smoking and of alcohol, not a teetotaler avoidance, but, you know, minimization of alcohol, and maintaining an ideal body weight. You do those main 4 things, and you will not only stave off the vast majority of breast cancer risk, but all of life's big killers. So heart disease, hypertension, stroke, Alzheimer's, diabetes, obesity, all of it. So onward with plants. It's been a pleasure today. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Christy. And judging by your background, I'm going to guess you have children. I think I already knew that, but I'm thinking that our audience may have guessed it as well.
Yes, that's not my
And we thank your family for partying with you on this evening. And maybe they're seeing a lot of you these days. I don't know, but it's still, we appreciate them sharing you with us tonight.
Well, my pleasure. Thank you again.
Absolutely. And Joel, judging by your background, you have good taste in books. I see Diet for New America back there.
I was going to say
some other good ones.
I have to also extend a tremendous amount of gratitude for being invited to be involved. You know, the Robbins family has had a tremendous influence on my many-decade plant journey through undergrad, med school, residency, fellowship, and my entire career. And that book has always been prominently displayed on a bookshelf because it made a tremendous difference in my life in the 1980s when I was plant-based but didn't know why. And your dad helped clarify that for me. But I would say for all the listeners today and the entire, you know, FRN community, you know, don't get too stuck in the weeds. We've had some really great but very technical questions. There are differences in the plant-based community. One doctor or a nutritionist or a coach says one thing about a food group and you'll see the opposite. We're not going to find complete agreement. Eat plants, eat them whole, eat them in substitution for the Western diet. You're already so far ahead of the pack. Don't worry too much about the squabbling that does exist because it's a distraction. You know, an apple will always be better than a donut. You know, a bean soup will always be better than ham hocks. I mean, these things are not going to go away. And if you just focus on the big picture of this brightly colored plate of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and legumes, you're going to win every time. And the differences in the small subtleties pertain to some really specific disease states like advanced heart disease. But we're talking to hundreds of thousands, and that's not the norm. And we want to try and, you know, keep that disease very minimal. But thank you.
Thank you so much, Joel. And now to my dad for any final words here.
Well, thank you, Ocean. And I want to thank Joel and Christy for being with us today and contributing so much, so
Yes.
well, so often with such dedication and intelligence and compassion and kindness. And it's pleasure and it's a privilege to associate with you and be your ally and colleague and supporter. And thank you for being with us. And I want to thank all of our audience too for your interest in living as healthy a life as you possibly can. And you deserve a life that's full of vitality and vigor and vibrancy and joy. And so that you can love people with your whole heart, so that you can give from a cup that is full rather than from a cup that's empty. You know, sometimes people think, well, eating healthfully is selfish. It isn't, because the more abundant your energy is, the more positive your energy is, the more fruitful your life can be, and the more you can be in service effectively and with compassion to other people and to our world that so deeply needs all of our love right now. It's a difficult time to be alive on earth. It's a difficult time to be a human being. Most times are, but this one especially is. So for me, in closing, I want to thank you all for all the steps that you've taken for your own health and for the health of our world, for public health, for clean water and clean air, and that all of us should have access to healthy food that's affordable and available and isn't highly processed, hasn't been created to make profit off of us, but has been created to serve the well-being of our world and of each of us. And to that cause, we're dedicated. And thank you for being part of it. And thank you for caring. And thank you for acting on behalf of your well-being and the greater good. The beauty of this message is that you don't have to choose between those, that what serves you serves others too, that the food choices that are best for you individually give you the strongest and clearest immune system, give you the least susceptibility to degenerative diseases, also reduce climate change, also reduce greenhouse gases, also reduce the pressure on our hospitals from COVID-19, reduce our susceptibility to the worst types of outcomes if we do get infected with that disease. There are so many goods here. And thank you for joining us in celebrating and sharing that good.
Absolutely. I feel so blessed to be with the three of you and with all of our many thousands of participants in this event. I feel so grateful. You know, we call this Ask the Experts because there's a tremendous wealth of expertise here. But I also want to turn it back, kind of shine a mirror to everybody who's watching or listening right now to say you're the ultimate, only greatest expert on your own lived experience, what you've seen, what you've known, what you've felt, what you've experienced, and how it's lived in your body, in your consciousness, and in your life. So make friends with your curiosity, make friends with your own journey of self-discovery. Notice how you feel with different thoughts, with different actions, with different food choices, with different dietary patterns. Are you someone who does well when you eat first thing in the morning with a big meal? Are you someone who does well fasting in the morning? Are you somebody who, you know, likes a snack? Are you somebody who feels the best when you really have breaks between meals or only eat twice a day? Notice, experiment, pay attention, see what you feel, become a student of your own discovery process, and keep learning and keep growing, and then keep sharing. And I thank you so much for being a part of this revolution. We really are changing the world together. We're changing lives, we're changing norms, we're changing customs, we're changing the way food is grown, we're changing the way it's processed, we're changing the way it's marketed, we're changing the way it's prepared and the way it's served and the way it's consumed. Every bite we take is a vote for the health we want and the world we want. So I thank you for making your vote a conscious one. I thank you so much for the gift of your attention and your time and your curiosity, for your support of our mission and our work. And I look forward to working with you for a healthy food revolution. So again, thank you so much. This is Ocean Robbins and Dr. Christy Funk, author of the fabulous book, Breasts, an Owner's Manual. Dr. Joel Kahn, author of the fabulous book, The Whole Heart Solution, among many others. My dad, John Robbins, author of 9 bestsellers, including The Food Revolution, which kind of started it all in a sense. And I'm the author of 31 Day Food Revolution, just to round it all out here. And we're thanking you so much for being with us tonight.